It's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment.
I blame myself.
So do I.
Well, no sense worrying about it now.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
Yeah. Now let's get ready. Switch me on. I don't think you're crazy.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Hey, what's going on, Ghostheads? We're back.
We are. It's been a long time that hearing the song going and getting that intro music. Luckily, the power cell has a half-life of 5,000 years. It's been a while, but we're back.
We're back. Welcome to the return of the Ghostheads radio show. My name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me, my partner in crime, you know him as the one and only Matty B.
Imaginary beer. It's a little early in the day to get started on the Thursday, so we'll have to have a beer in spirit.
If you're in the chat, say what's up. And we already got our buddy Ghostbusters Texas Rangers Division. Howdy, gents. He says, howdy to you, sir. What's going on? We have a lot to talk about today. And we are all so excited for Ghostbusters Firehouse, Afterlife 2, whatever you want to call it, Ghostbusters 4. So much to talk about. And we also have an announcement to make. And Nicholas with the Ghostbusters Texas Rangers Division knows exactly what we're talking about. We have some housekeeping to do first. So before we begin, let's get a quick word from our sponsor, Real Retro.
Yeah, and shout out to Real Retro as well. We were just at the Superhero Car Show and Comic-Con in San Antonio. Met up with longtime listener and friend Paxton Christie from the South Dakota Ghostbusters, and Real Retro with that sponsorship was able to really hook us up with some awesome gear. Our table runner, our shirts, our background, all compliments of Real Retro. So big shout out to them.
Absolutely, definitely. And then back to what we're discussing today. Later on in this show, we're actually going to be talking about the Ghostbusters Firehouse film that is tentatively supposed to be released this December, but we're going to get into that. But first, we actually have a major announcement to make. If you've been following the Ghostheads radio or this channel or any of our friends and the Ghostbuster chapters across the country, you are very familiar with the Ghostbusters toy drive that has been taking place for the last 2 years. But last year, it was really amped up, and we got over 40 chapters to participate in a massive nationwide toy drive. Out of that effort came a lot of other suggestions like, hey, what else can we do? Everybody was loving the unity and just the activities that we were all doing. Everybody was helping one another, and it turned out to be a massive success. And so one of the ideas that was brought up from other chapters was, let's do a school supply drive. We have a lot of Ghostbuster chapter members across the country that are teachers themselves, that are married to teachers themselves, that have family members that are teachers, and of course, we all have kids that are in school. And so we're here to announce that starting today, we're launching a nationwide campaign for a Ghostbusters school supply drive. We already have 8 chapters that are participating. Some have already started, and they're off to a fantastic start, and others are starting this weekend. But the Ghostbusters Northwest, Ecto 360, the Texas Rangers Division, led by Nicholas up in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Yellow Rose with Alex Spence, the legendary Alex Spence, Ghostbusters San Antonio in my hometown, Ryan and Peter and the rest of the NYC club over there, the Portland team, as well as the Central Michigan Ghostbusters are all participating in this nationwide event that's going to run through the end of the month. And so, if you are in one of those areas and you want to help make a difference, go to their chapter pages on social media, find out where their drop off locations are. They're all going to have flyers with a list of supplies that you can drop off to, and you'll find out, whose schools you are benefiting, basically. And it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. We're so excited about this, and the Texas, the San Antonio, and the Houston chapters specifically, this is a very huge cause for us because we are actually going to be collecting supplies to benefit the students of Uvalde. And so, if you want more information on where you can donate those items, they will be posted by this weekend on the pages of both the Yellow Rose Ghostbusters as well as the San Antonio Ghostbusters, and help benefit the students of Uvalde. And, we don't have to say too much about why it's so important to benefit those students. They've been through so much, and our chapter specifically has already partnered with the leaders in the Uvalde area on a couple of occasions, and so this was sort of a no-brainer for us. We want to do as much as we can for that community, and so we're very excited. I'll go ahead and let you guys know about one of the drop off locations to begin with. Our friends over at the Dragon Slayer Comics and Fantasy at the Alma Ranch location, the northwest side of town by 604 and 151. Our drop off box will be there starting this Saturday. But more information to come. This is just the initial launch for the school drive campaign, and we're going to have chapters on every week throughout the end of the month to discuss how things are going. And shout out to Bob with the Michigan team, because he's already off to like a rocket start. Like, he's doing so much, and it's so exciting to see how well their drive has gone so far. Matthew, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's gonna be great, and let's stretch Ted's Photoshop abilities. Let's add some chapters Some of you may not have heard about this yet. We have been on a bit of a hiatus, but I promise you we can put Ted's Photoshop skills to the test and add more logos. I have most of them um, from the toy drive. So let's get some more people added on. It's definitely going to be great. I know that the Texas Rangers division has definitely been really active with it as well. So, there's always room to add more. And when you're thinking about supplies for the kids, that's important too. But let's think about these teachers too.
Yes,
Just the teachers need their supplies as well. They're usually a little bit more expensive than what the kids have to use. So let's think about them both and let's raise as much as we can.
absolutely. If you are a chapter and you feel like this is something that kind of is something you want to be a part of, reach out to us, myself, Maddie, the San Antonio team, the Yellow Rose team, even the New York team. Reach out to one of us and just ask questions. You know what I mean? Like, don't say it's too soon. We don't know if we have the time or anything. It could be as simple as getting a box that you have in your garage. We all have empty boxes in our garage. You print out a flyer. I can give you a template to use. You stick that on the box. You take it to your favorite, retro store, your favorite comic book shop, your local grocer,
Five
or
below.
Five Below. Our friends at Five Below. You stick the box there, and you watch the magic happen. And if you have time, you go out there on the weekends to greet with shoppers and help, promote the cause. But it doesn't have to be a massive undertaking. It can be as simple as just putting multiple boxes out at different locations. Bob with the Central Michigan team, he's got like 8 drop-off locations already. He's killing it. He's absolutely killing it, and he's getting a lot of donations already. So they're off to a great start. It's unbelievable how well they've just like right out the gate. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's
Cool.
obviously it's best. Everybody wants to have their own toy drive, but if your franchise is struggling to find a community, a business in town to go along with it, for those of you who have ectos or larger teams where you can schedule out, it doesn't hurt to join a drive already in process. Like if your local grocery store is doing a big toy drive, and you just get with that marketing director and just say, hey, we'd like to come out for a couple of days and we'll put on our suits and try to attract some people out here to raise some more. There's a lot of ways to get involved. Obviously you want to try to do it on your own first, but every town is different. Some are bigger than others, some are smaller. Anything you can, just try.
Absolutely. Like I said, ask questions. If you're on the fence, if you're unsure, ask questions. That's all you need to do. And if you're watching this right now and your chapter 100% wants to get involved, just let us know. We will make the flyer bigger, throw you in there right away. I have absolutely no issues with adding another 10, 15, 20 chapters to this campaign. Awesome. There's actually, you know what? There's a local wrestling organization that is holding a school supply drive, and I already reached out to those guys. I was like, "Hey, this is awesome. Do you guys have a beneficiary already? If they don't, I'm going to say join in with us. Let's you do your thing, we're going to do our thing. We'll put them together. We'll drive them out to Uvalde and drop them off at the public library, and it's going to be great. What's really cool is that the public library over in Uvalde, they're having their local. It's like a local reading event. It's like a community event on the 27th of July, and so that's actually going to be when we show up and to drop off all these donations. Um, and they will be hopefully greatly surprised that a bunch of Ghostbusters and flight suits and proton packs are dropping off, boxes of school supplies. So I can't wait, but it's only going to be successful with your guys' help. So if you're in the San Antonio or the Houston areas, make sure to visit the social media pages for the San Antonio Ghostbusters SATX, as well as the Yellow Rose Ghostbusters. They're over outside of Houston, and find out where those drop off locations will be by this weekend. And if they're not posted by this weekend, message them and find out, like, get the information. And we'll be streaming every week to kind of like, keep the information going out. And I'm excited. We've been really busy on our end, doing multiple events every single week, every single weekend. But yeah, it's exciting. So help us out, make this a success, and thank you to everyone in advance for all your work. Cool. Shall we talk about Firehouse?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Ladies and gents, unless you've been under a rock, Ghostbusters Firehouse has been filming all over the world. Really, just two locations, NYC as well as over in the UK on the soundstage. But we're here today to talk about what we know and some interesting, not revelations, but some interesting comments that have been made in the news cycle in the last couple of weeks. So first off, Ghostbusters Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, or Ghostbusters Firehouse, or Ghostbusters 4 is what I like to call it, has wrapped. Filming is done. All that's left at the moment, post production, which involves VFX, editing, sound, all that good stuff. And they wrapped a few weeks ago, and the movie is tentatively scheduled to be released on December 20th of 2023. Everybody across the board was like, that's a little bit of a quick turnaround, if you ask me. And we're absolutely with you. And so let's actually read what Ernie Hudson said in the news to Screen Rant about them wrapping. He says, yeah, we finished. The movie is done. It's wrapped. Obviously, they're editing and doing whatever else. However, given that the sequel is part of a digital, I'm sorry, that's a Screen Rant there. He says, I never know how the studios are going to do whatever they do, but the filming is done, which was a little bit difficult with the writer's strike and everything else going on. So he said that, confirmed it. They're wrapped. They're done. It's a super tight turnaround to try and get a movie out in like 5 months. It really is. And even though studios, even like Lucasfilm, like they will work on a movie up until the week before or the 2 weeks before an actual release date. That was a case with several Star Wars films. They're just always working on these things. They really never stop. But do you want to discuss like some of the stuff that we saw filming wise? We know this is based in New York. If there was any question about it, it's completely based in NYC, Manhattan. They rebuilt the firehouse on the soundstage. Grace McKenna did a nice little TikTok exploring that firehouse, and it's super detailed and it looks immaculate. It looks amazing.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. I was actually really glad that she did that, or even that she was allowed to do that. That I mean, that was actually a couple weeks before they announced that they had wrapped. I think, didn't they? Um, but no, it's good. It again, it is a really tight turnaround. But I'm not disappointed because I think I said on this a few months ago. I wasn't expecting this until probably spring of 2024. Um, it is interesting that the writer's strike was going on, but my whole thing with that is I don't think good writers are striking. I think most of them are getting paid pretty nicely right now for projects that they're actually working on. So I'm hopefully they kept all that together, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I'm glad that it's in New York. Um, some other comments that he had a little bit later down, if you're going to get to those, Ted, I think are a little bit more interesting. Um, as far as him saying it's a new direction, not the direction that he would go in, and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, definitely. So here's the additional comments that Ernie Hudson revealed regarding the new film. And all right, here we go. He said it was great to see Bill Murray, Danny Aykroyd, and Annie Potts. It was great to see them there, and really just enjoying it and enthusiastic about being there. So of course, for whatever reason, fans were like speculating whether or not Bill Murray was going to be a part of this. Just to cut in here and say, like, he was always going to be a part of this. Like, Jason Reitman wouldn't do anything like this unless they were maximizing the potential of the franchise. It just feels like it was crazy that fans were even questioning that he was going to do it. Like, I don't know why. All right, back to Ernie. In speaking about Firehouse, he says, quote unquote, it's different. It's not necessarily the direction I would go in, but I just love being a part of it. I think the fans will like this new direction, but we will see. And that to me is very interesting. I was not I was not really ever concerned about anything really about this sequel. I trust Jason. I trust Gil Keenan. We know they're bringing back everybody from Ghostbusters Afterlife. They've added like some new interesting characters. We don't really know who they're going to be or what they're going to do in the movie. So, like, everything so far has been positive and intriguing. This might be the first time I'm just like, what could he mean by that? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think, and Ernie is just kind of an interesting guy. And he loves the Ghostbusters fan base. He had problems with the studio. He spoke about in this as well. Um, but you know, I don't think he ever really. He didn't have the same love for it like Dan Aykroyd did. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't. If Dan Aykroyd said this, I would be a lot more concerned than if Ernie Hudson says it, if that makes sense. And that's not disparaging Ernie by any means. Um, but I don't think he necessarily liked the direction of a couple of the films. It
Right.
probably wouldn't be the first time that he said that. So um, I like the idea. I'm intrigued by it going in a new direction. Afterlife was a great movie. Don't get me wrong. And that we could say it was a different direction than what we were left off with after Ghostbusters 2. But it was a really family kind of film. It was, this heartwarming tale in this small town. So for me, if I take it in that sense, I'm thinking a new direction is actually what we want. It should be a new direction if we're back in New York City. It should be a new direction if we have this younger cast of characters and there's more money flowing with them a little bit. So, because they had a lot of money. Somebody had done the math on it in the original movie, of what that extra mortgage Ray would have gotten on his house, like how much it would have equated to with interest today. But all that stuff costed a lot of money too. They were still very blue collar guys. So it'll be nice to see with like there's got to be some technological changes and stuff with that influx of money coming from old Mr. Winston Zeddemore, Daddy Warbucks. So I like
Right.
I like the idea of a new direction. I don't want another Afterlife.
But what does it mean? I want to theorize because, like, wouldn't Afterlife, like, continuing a sequel to that, wouldn't that be the same direction if that's what they were doing? And wouldn't he be okay with that? Like, shouldn't he be good with Danny, him, Bill, kind of being mentors? And the Spangler family, we know the Spangler family is out in the forefront. Like, consider them being the leads of this next film based on all the footage and the photos that like Ghostbusters News has been posting. We already know the whole family's suited up. So it's going to be revolving around the family. So I don't know why it's being considered to him as a different direction. It kind of feels like the same direction, unless there's something in here that is a big curveball that we're not privy to. And so I'm not saying it's going to be bad or this could hurt the movie in any way, but just just based on what we know, based on the filming that we've seen done, I'm struggling to figure out what he means by different direction. It feels like it's the same direction. Does that make sense?
No, no, I know what you mean. It's probably just about how the overall story goes. I mean, hopefully, in my opinion, hopefully, New Direction means, we're busting a lot of ghosts. Um, it maybe he didn't like the direction they went in with the villain. Maybe he didn't. He thought his role might have been a little bit different. Usually, when Ernie complains, it's just when he was told something, and then that didn't quite pan out as to
Ooh,
what he
okay.
was told. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just he thought his character was going to be a little bit different, maybe even more involved. Um, so who knows? But I hope that it has to do with, okay, we're not just gonna like kind of have a montage scene of busting ghosts and then one big bad we deal with the whole time. Maybe it's like a more of a business aspect, like showing them actually out there busting ghosts and kind of different than the last few movies that we've got.
Kevin's in the chat saying, I think that Vigo is back since it was filming in New York. And that was a very popular theory once Afterlife concluded. Fans were thinking, like, oh, they're going to just bring back Gozer, bring back Vigo, let's do the same old dance again. Even Nick's like, hey, I think Vigo's a minor villain in this. I I will say that I've heard there is a new antagonist. I can't say any more than that. But the rumors that I've been hearing that there is absolutely like a new foe that we've not seen or heard of before. And so if Vigo is in this, I will be surprised because I've only heard things that I'm not familiar with as far as like villains go. Nick says like Vigo may end up the Slimer of this film, dealt with quick, and then we move on. That would be interesting. Vigo just kind of pops up out of the blue. Maybe they start out with handling Vigo. That'd be interesting. I mean, I would not mind seeing Vigo again, but I think there's a bigger challenge at hand. How do you bring back Vigo when the last time we saw him, he was basically obliterated? Like he wasn't caught in a trap. Dude was like not even like
But
anything
Vigo
else.
came out before. I mean, he was drawn, quartered. I mean, Dan went on this whole thing. They cut off his head, um, and he still came back. Death is but a door. Time is but a window. Um,
I'll be back.
my thing is they could kind of get rid of him quickly. The only reason why Vigo it was tough to get to Vigo in the first film is because he had been operating without anyone knowing, and he had built up something so heavy that it became difficult. But once they actually got to him, it wasn't that hard. It was kind of like Gozer in the first film. All they had to do was cross the streams into that door, and that's it. With Vigo, they just had to blow him with slime, right, and then shoot the painting. So the actual dispatching of them wasn't difficult. It was getting to them or figuring out what the plan was the hard part. So now that they know what it takes to get rid of them, I mean, I could see him maybe coming back, but um, he wouldn't be powerful without being able to have rebuilt the river of slime and all these things. You know, he would have to find a new painting to inhabit, or maybe found a new body by this time. I mean, who knows? I don't see it likely Vigo comes back. I do like how more difficult they made it to get Gozer in Afterlife. That was like more of a struggle, a fight, actually. Um, you know, having to trap her. That I mean, that was
Did
interesting.
they?
But yeah, I think they did. Remember um, it was at the end. She flips that big switch that turned all the traps on, and then it sucked her down in there.
It it's unusual and it's not completely out of the realm of possibility because you just talked about Vigo. How did they vanquish Vigo? They slimed him up with positively charged slime to weaken him, which like this is all sort of theoretical, right? They had to weaken him with positively charged slime, and then they were blasting him with their wands and their proton packs, which eventually blew him up or something, right?
Mhm.
And then in Afterlife, you had like 10 or whatever proton packs and wands aimed at Gozer. And then you're right, there's all the traps in the ground, but was it pulling her apart? I forget exactly what was the last thing that we saw
It was
from Gozer.
so they basically made it to where Vince Clortho and I forget the other one. The keymaster
Zul.
and gatekeeper. Yeah, Zul. So they like if one of them was out, then Gozer was at like half ability. If the second one was out, then she was at full ability.
You're
So
right, yeah.
I think they trapped both of the terror dogs, and then she sort of went away.
I love that there's all these rules that they're creating, and it's freaking
Mhm.
amazing. Nick says, and if Dolph Lundgren doesn't play Vigo, then why are we even here?
Didn't I say that months ago? We pulled up pictures for fan casting.
Just like Gozer, which Gozer was blown up and came back, so possible the same thing with Vigo. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I feel like, and as I mentioned earlier, the rumors that I've heard, and they're from credible sources, we are going to see a new, I think, main antagonist. Let's just say main. If Vigo shows up, I will still be happy about it. I will not like hate this movie if Vigo shows up. But I do like to see the franchise evolving, moving forward, doing new things. The Ecto is been upgraded, right? Got the nice red stripes all the way to the front of the hood. There's a gizmo on the top, which could be a spoiler if we mention what it does. So I won't say it, but let's just say that the technology is still moving forward, which is great. Gozer was trapped in Afterlife. Vigo was just stopped. He wasn't destroyed. Maybe there's the little explosion, right? Like that was a thing.
Yeah, there was definitely an explosion, but he was already kind of sucked back in to you remember he did like the head
Yeah,
spiraling
he
out.
like
So
shrunk and then explosion. And what exactly did that do? Did that just close the gate, the door, that kind of a thing?
yeah, it was probably just the portal closing, which was the explosion. I
Ooh,
mean, who knows? And then how did that painting come out at the end? I mean, who knows about that either? But I don't know. I think that in some way Peck is going to be possessed by whatever this new antagonist is, and the villain is going to be working through Peck to try to shut them down, and then eventually that's not going to work, and they're going to have to figure something out. That's been my fan theory for a while. Whatever it is that is going to be being used by this antagonist to try to stop him like he did the last time, or maybe he's the one who blows up the containment unit again for whatever reason
I
and
like it. So
unleashes us.
I like it. I like it. I think Peck is going to have a minor role. I think you bring him back as an interesting cameo for fans, but he can't be like he can't have a major plot point. I don't think. I mean,
I mean,
no.
he's got some gears to grind with him. Um,
Does
I
he?
mean,
He was proven wrong.
yeah, but he was
Has he?
humiliated at the end.
Has he not
Um,
learned anything? He nearly destroyed New York.
yeah, but he got his. He got covered in slime at the end, didn't he? Wasn't not slime, the marshmallow.
Marshmallow.
I
Yes.
think he's
Yeah.
got an axe to grind, and he's never going to stop hating Peter Venkman. I don't think.
There's a shot in Ghostbusters 2, and if anybody's watching, I think you can go back and see this. So after Peck gets hit with the marshmallow remains, there's like a whiteout shot, and I think you can still see him like on the ground, like throwing a fit.
Oh, and Ghostbusters 1?
Ghostbusters 1, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 1. There's a whiteout shot, and you still see him as like a very tiny person because it's a high whiteout
Yeah.
shot, and I think he's still there. Like you can still see him. You can't see his face clearly, but like you hear him yelling, and like you see a tiny little peck.
Why would he even be down there? Um,
That's a good
but
point.
yeah, because but yeah, I mean, he got them arrested and everything. So I mean, who knows?
Get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nick says the new Gizmo is the super slammer. Methinks. You know what? I would have enjoyed that. I I do think that it's actually something different. I don't want to say it, but that would have been awesome. Maybe they'll save that for like a future movie, or maybe at the end of this movie, do it as like a end credit scene. That would be amazing. Ecto One has the super slammer on top of it, just like the video game. I don't. So what? A giant trap on top of Ecto One? I don't think it is. The folks in New York City that saw this thing up close, I think a few of them figured out what it was, and so I won't say it, but I don't think it's a super slammer. Alex says I would argue his gate was closed. That's a very good possibility. No longer able to maintain the gate after being positively charged. I like that even better. And maybe that's why the painting was created of the Ghostbusters and Oscar. Vigo was turned from an a-hole to a nice guy, and he magically created the painting of them, um, involuntarily, based on his newfound positive outlook in the afterlife. We figured it out. What if Peck is mayor now? You know what? I would not be surprised. But still, like, is it going to be canon for him to still be at odds with them? I would argue he found out he's a dumbass, and he no longer has any beef. Hey, Ghostbusters, you saved the world, and then you did it again in what, 89, and then you did it again in 89. Like, you've proved me wrong. What do you need? You need the military again? Here you go. Have at it. That would be amazing. Gonna have to DM me with it then. Oh yeah, the Ecto thing. I might do that. Going to be a cold day is Hell's Kitchen. So that's been debunked, right? Like the whole Hell's Kitchen thing.
Yeah. Um,
I don't hate that they didn't use it, but it was that one
well, they kind of
outlet.
did it in the video game. They kind
What's
of
that?
did part. They kind of did part of it in the video game, where like you go to a different um like universe or like a different dimension in the Ghostbusters
I
video game.
Yes, and also I mean a lot, both two different video games, right?
I think it's just the 2009 one.
Yeah.
No, I
What
guess Spirits
you
Unleashed
could.
has a little bit of that.
So that is very telling, right? Because they did it in '09. They did it in Spirits Unleashed. Spirits Unleashed could be canonical if you really wanted it to. Shall we either see the ghost realm, or like I was kind of hoping before, I've said it on this show in a previous stream, are we going into the containment unit? I still want to know why they were teasing it failing. Like there's some big failure light and sound at the end of the last movie. So I would like to go into it. Not myself. I would like to see them go into it and see what that looks like. They did it in the animated series. I can see them doing it now. Jamie Hodges, the great Jamie Hodges, in the IDW Comics pack actually takes up a proton pack at one point. You see, he's a nice guy now. He's learned from his mistakes.
I don't know about that. My
Who's
only the only thing that I don't that kind of sucks is that it took so long to get all this going that David Margulis, the guy who played the mayor,
mm,
um, now that we're going back to New York City, or maybe he could have been a senator or something by this time, kind of a long standing
president?
politician. Yeah, or somebody give me the Ghostbusters would have been a good line to get back. But yeah, that's, you know, But there will be some politics involved for sure. There usually always is. We didn't have any Afterlife, obviously. We had a little bit with the sheriff, I guess. Um, but I'm sure Peck is going to be doing some kind of politics.
I'm not sure if they go that route. I'm totally fine with it, but I want Peck to learn. I want him to come back and kiss their ass. I want to see a new Peck. I want them to revert expectations. Everyone's expecting Peck to be a prick, and I'm going to be the one that's like, no, no, no. He's already figured it out.
What
He's
if
already wised up.
a possessed Walter Peck is the one who kills off Venkman?
Ooh, gosh. Oh my God, that would be insane.
Because Bill's wanted to get out of this character for a long time. You just have the arch nemesis, a possessed Walter Peck, uh, just takes out Peter Venkman.
Yeah. I could you know what? I feel like I said it last time. If you're gonna take out Venkman, I I will not hate it only because of what you just said. He kind of wants out. I just want it to be done in a respectful, honorable way. Just not all
Yeah.
willy nilly. You know what I mean? Make it worth it. Make it valuable. Kevin has done a modification to his slime blower. So here it is. Check it out. I don't know if I
There
get.
you go.
I don't
See
know if
that
I.
Ghostheads radio sticker there? Gotta love that.
Yeah, love the sticker. He's also got his autism group patch sticker on there as well. Is this connected to the Neutrino wand? It is. Wow, that's interesting. How heavy is that? My homemade new device controls the length, color, and depth. That's pretty wild, sir.
Good job,
Congrats,
Kevin.
man. I know you've been working on that for quite some time. Awesome. Well, let's get to maybe the potential negative news. So everybody watching, anybody who watches this at a later time, let's go ahead and prepare ourselves for the worst. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. With the news that the actors strike is going into effect today or this week, that basically means a lot of things. Actors are not going to be doing any tours, appearances, promotion from films of any kind, interviews, what have you, advertisements, anything. So it would most likely push back any release date at this point if this actors strike holds. Even if the movie is already done, would not matter. They need their actors to be involved in the promotion of the film, to help increase box office sales. And if they can't come to an agreement, I would say this movie gets pushed back. And it might be serendipitous because they're on such a tight schedule. It will give them more time to work on the film. But for right now, let's just go ahead and put it in our heads. If this actor strike holds, consider the film to be delayed. And dear God, don't let it get delayed more than like 6 months. If it's a
Well, honestly,
year,
as
it
long as the CGI and the graphics team doesn't go on strike, we should be fine. If they've wrapped filming, as long as there's because we've had a writer's strike, we've had the actor's strike now, and now if the graphics teams and the CG departments go on strike, then we're screwed. We're not getting this for a year and a half.
ah yeah. And so Ghostbuster fans, and we've already been through this with Afterlife, right? It got delayed, what, a year and a half from its original date, and now the kids are like adults.
Yeah.
It's insane. So I would hate to go through it again. However, it feels like it's just inevitable at this point. So just start preparing yourself now. Let's get it out already. And if somehow this movie does get released on time this coming December, then it'll be a happy surprise. But for right now, I'm already putting myself in the mindset this film will be delayed because this actor strike. it's going to hold. And the reason why it's going to hold is because the studios are already putting out press releases saying, we're not going to budge. We're not going to cave to their demands and whatnot. What's really bad is that San Diego Comic-Con, the largest comic convention of its kind in the world, takes place in a week. It opens next week. And what are fans going to be going for if there's not going to be any appearances by actors from these movies? Half the studios have already pulled out. And will anybody else show up, to promote their films, to promote their projects? This is a wild, wild situation that we're in, and it could be affecting everybody. The only good thing is that our massive convention that we had last week, already finished. I don't know how we would have been impacted
Well,
had
how
this
does it
act
work? I mean,
strike.
is it like every actor is on strike? I mean, can't some of them just be like, no, I'm not striking. I'm contractually obligated for this. I'm getting paid for it. It shoots me myself in my own foot to not promote my movie.
I mean, it's definitely anybody with that union, right? That
Hmm.
wants to be united as a group, um, going forward. So we will see, man. This is a wild time to be in. Kevin says, Central Michigan Ghostbusters were on the news, and the link is on Bob's Facebook page. They were on the news. I saw that. I was on Bob's page the other day. So yeah, Bob over in the Central Michigan team is doing an incredible job with his school supply drive. The fact that they were on, I think, like the Channel 4 News or something, promoting their school drive campaign, fantastic, incredible. I love it. So yeah, let's see here. Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. We are actually going to keep you guys informed with the school supply drive activities and any other news that we hear regarding Ghostbusters Firehouse, aka GB4, aka Ghostbusters Afterlife 2. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know your thoughts about the current situation regarding the strike. Also, your fan theories about what Ghostbusters Firehouse will revolve around, the main plot and stuff. We love speculation. Just no spoilers, please. We don't want any spoilers. So, yeah. All right, that'll do it for us at Ghost Heads Radio. It feels so good to be back, and yeah, we're really excited, guys. So, my name is Ted, aka Steady, and joining me as always is my partner in crime, the one and only Matty B.
It's great to be with you guys. And we should be back every week now, so we should be good. Season 2, baby. Season 2.
Season 2, and stay tuned. I said the school supply drive is running through the end of the month, and then once that happens, we're gonna start switching gears and start preparing for the nationwide toy drive, and we got to go bigger than last year, right?
Oh, big time. And we're going to hop back on the train of finding new franchises to talk to and getting their message out there. So it'll be busy, busy, busy after a hot Texas summer.
Absolutely. Don't forget, guys, to go check out the social media page for the SATX Ghostbusters and the Yellow Rose Ghostbusters. If you're in the San Antonio or the Houston areas, these are the supplies that are needed. We'll have those flyers up on our donation boxes and locations by this weekend. And thank you in advance for helping us with this effort. Appreciate everybody watching. We will see you next time.
Retro is San Antonio's most popular 80s and 90s retro store. Fan tees, stickers, records, DVDs, jewelry, novelties, electronics, collectibles. Real Retro is your #1 source back to the 80s and 90s. Come relive the best years of your life. Real Retro,